Hey there, my name is Anand and I run a content marketing agency called Growth, and I'm based out of Silicon Valley right here in California. I've been doing this full-time for a relatively short time. Before I went full-time with my business, I was working a full-time job. And ever since I went full-time with my business, I've had to learn these essential skills that I'm about to share with you today. So make sure you pay attention to these because these skills will make or break your business. Skill number one is sales. Now, if you're an employee and if you're not in a sales position, then you probably never had to sell in your life. Whereas with a business, no sales equals no business. And because at the end of the day, if your business is not making money, then you don't have a business. You just simply have a hobby or a passion that you're pursuing. But if you want to make money doing what you love, then you have to make a sale at the end of the day. And in order to become a good salesperson, you need to master the skills that go along with sales, such as understanding your consumer psychology, understanding how to persuade people, understanding how to speak in a convincing way, understanding how to read people. All of these things go into what makes you into an effective salesperson. At the same time, as a salesperson, your job is also to guide your customer, to be there when your customer has questions, stuff like that, that will actually lead to a person going from being just interested to actually becoming a customer. And this is essential because a lot of people and a lot of marketers also focus only on the interest part of things. They focus on what is known as the top of funnel, but they're never able to sell their products or services. So I highly recommend that you learn the skills of selling and closing. And I personally had no experience in sales before, and that's why I'm going through a course, a training program called HTC, or High Ticket Closer, by Dan Lok, and I'm documenting my entire journey on this very channel. So if you want to check out what I'm learning along the way and how I'm becoming a better salesperson, then make sure to check out the entire playlist. I'm going to leave that in the description below. Skill number two is perhaps the most important thing you can do for your business, and that is marketing. Now, when most people think of marketing, they just think of advertising. And while advertising is a big part of marketing, marketing in general is a very broad term, and you'll be surprised at how big of an impact marketing has on your business. And this is because nearly every single decision that your business makes is based on marketing. Now, if you think about it, even before you have a product or service to sell, you think of the market. Like, who is the person who I'm trying to sell to? Where is this person? What kind of competition is out there in the market? Is this a profitable market or not? Even after you have a product, everything else that you do, all the other decisions that you make around things like your pricing your product, things like innovating new products or refining your products, making improvements to your products, they're all based on the market. Because at the end of the day, the market decides if your product or service is good or not. And if it's not, then you got to find a way to satisfy that market. So if you learn to think like a marketer, see the big picture, see who your customer is, what do they want, and then why do they want that, and learn how to communicate with them, learn how to communicate your value proposition, then that will make you a successful marketer. Whereas what a lot of people do is they don't do their marketing, they don't do their market research, they just come up with products or services that they may be passionate about or maybe they're good at, but that doesn't mean that the market is gonna accept or buy your products or services. So you need to keep everything in mind before you make your decisions in terms of what you want to sell or what products or services you want to develop. You also have to see how competitive your market is. If you go into a market that is super competitive, then it's gonna make things a lot harder for you. At the same time, if you find a market that is less competitive, it might actually be more profitable for you in the long term, even though it's a smaller market. And if all of this is sounding very confusing to you, then don't worry, because I'm gonna be going into super detail on this very channel, because this channel is dedicated towards marketers and entrepreneurs just like yourself. Skill number three is management and leadership. If you've been working a job, maybe you have been in a managerial position and you've had to manage people. But if you haven't managed a big team or anything like that, as an entrepreneur, you have three main roles. Your job as an entrepreneur is to motivate, to delegate, and to sell. So we already went over sales, but the other part is, how do you motivate people, meaning motivate your not just your team, but also all the other stakeholders for your business, like your customers or your investors, your company in general. How do you sell your vision so that you get everyone on board, right? One of the biggest things that you have to learn as an entrepreneur is how to delegate, because you simply cannot do everything yourself. And if you refuse to let go of that control, and if you feel like you have to do everything yourself, then maybe you just aren't an entrepreneur yet. Maybe you're just an operator. There's a really good book on this, and it's called The E-Myth by Michael Gerber. And that book talks about how most entrepreneurs are not really entrepreneurs. They're actually operators, or more like self-employed people, meaning you might not be working for a company, but you're just still working in your business versus working on your business. And that's the difference between being an operator versus an entrepreneur. And an entrepreneur recognizes that your resources are limited. So your job is to find people who can do your job as good or if not better than you. And that's how you allocate resources. So basically you're leveraging other people's time, which is the finite resource that we all have, to grow your business. So your job as a leader or a manager is to find people, train them, and also empower them so that they can do their job in the best way possible. Skill number 4 is time and energy management. And because time and energy both are finite resources, unlike money, which is not a finite resource because you can always generate more money by improving things like your sales or even cutting down on your costs, but time and energy are limited. So you have to find a way of managing this where you can get the most return out of your investment, because that is also an investment. As an entrepreneur, you're investing a lot of things just to build this one thing, which is your business. You're investing money, you're investing your attention, your time, your energy. So all of those things go together. You're also investing other people, you're building a team, and those people are investing their time and energy into your business. So you have to find a way to maximize this and cut out the things that are not productive. Now, when it comes to time management, this is something that people generally have heard because it's a very classic topic, right? Time management. It's been going on for decades now. In this day and age, it's becoming even more important than before, because first of all, we have the same amount of time available. Maybe we have a little bit more time because a lot of the things that people had to do in the past are kind of automated or taken care of for you. We have the freedom of time, meaning we can work when we want, because unlike traditional jobs, which, let's say, if 100 years ago a laborer was to go out on the fields and work, then they're limited by things like sunlight. When the sun goes down, they can't work anymore. But now, we have communication which allows you to stay in touch with the world 24/7. Because of that, all these other things are going to pull for your attention and your energy. You got to really prioritize the tasks that will move your business forward. And one of the best things that I recommend that you do is, especially the first thing in the morning, to have a morning routine. Turn off all the notifications on your phone. Don't check your messages, don't check your email. Instead, work on what is known as deep work, and which is the most important task of the day that you need to accomplish that will move your business forward. And the best thing about that is, first thing in the morning, your energy levels are also very high. So you're maximizing that availability of time in the morning to work on your very important tasks, and the high level of energy that you have to work on your most important tasks. Another thing to keep in mind for energy is that you got to find how your energy levels are throughout the day. Now, some people they're just morning people. They like to wake up early. They have the most amount of energy in the morning, and they're also very productive in the morning. Whereas there's other people who are more productive at night. And there's also a bit of an adaptive component to it, meaning that if you're always used to working in the morning, then you naturally have energy there. But in general, you got to monitor when you have the most energy and when you have the least energy, and prioritize the most important tasks when you have the most energy, and some of the routine or repetitive tasks can be done when you have less energy. Like for me, for example, I have a lot of energy in the morning and also late at night or evening, but in the middle of the day, especially during lunchtime or something, I barely have any energy at all. So I do other things like running my errands, going to the gym, stuff like that in the afternoon, but I make sure that I do the most important tasks early on in the day. The fifth skill that I've had to learn recently is actually developing systems. And this is so important because most people are like, first of all, they don't want to delegate anything to anyone. They want to have control over everything. But at the same time, when you decide you want to delegate, you got to have systems in place so that people who take over that task know exactly what to do. And for this, you're going to have to develop something known as SOPs, or standard operating procedures. Now, let me ask you this. What's the difference between a regular hamburger restaurant, like a mom and pop restaurant, versus McDonald's? The difference is that McDonald's has developed such systems over the years that they can open a restaurant anywhere in the world and you can expect the same level of service or the same kind of food. And this is because it's not just about the food, it's about the systems that they've put in place, where everything is done in a very systematic way and there's no room for error, no room for interpretation. All the instructions are laid out for you. So when you're building a team, you have to lay out the systems for your team so that even if in the future, if you were to, let's say, bring on a new team member, maybe you were to like replace a team member, whatever it is, if you have those systems in place, then even anyone else who you bring onto your team knows exactly what to do after seeing your statement, after seeing your SOPs or standard operating procedures. So I highly recommend that you write down these systems, and I'll be making an entire video on how to write SOPs. So make sure to subscribe to my channel if you don't want to miss it. So I'm currently reading this book called Clockwork by Mike Michalowicz. And that book just blew my mind because he shows you that if you're building a business, you're actually building an asset. And an asset is something that you build it to a certain point where it runs without you. So if tomorrow, if I was to step away from my business for, let's say I just decide to go on a vacation, right? Will my business still be running? And for me right now, the answer is no, because everything is pretty much dependent on me, because I'm involved in all the process of a business. And because I'm a new entrepreneur, I still haven't laid out those processes yet, but I am in the process of doing that. But that's the long-term goal. So I highly recommend that you check out this book. I'll leave a link down in the description below. But this book shows you how to develop those systems that you need so that if you decide to step out of your business for whatever reason, let's say you want to take a vacation, or even if you don't want to, you want to sell your business. If your business is so dependent on you that it won't run without you, why will someone even buy your business, right? Because if someone is buying a business, they want to buy an asset that will continue to work for them. Skill number 6 is communication skills. Now, communication is done through different methods. It's your verbal communication, how you speak, how you write, and also how you listen. All of those skills are very important because there's so many stakeholders in your business. There's people like your customers, your investors, your team, and all these people, you have to be a very good communicator with them. Because one of the best things I learned about communication is that there is a difference between effective communication and ineffective communication. Just because two people are saying this exact same words doesn't mean that they're going to have the same impact. Now I don't want to go into too much detail in this video, but there's so many things, like even your vocal tonality, right? How you say things matters, especially when it comes to sales. At the same time, if you're communicating with your customers, your investors, your employees, one of the best things you can do is to learn how to communicate explicitly. And this is the difference between implicit communication and explicit communication. And most of my life, I've been communicating very implicitly, where I say something, but then I'm assuming that the other person knows exactly what to do. But then that leaves a lot of room for error and misinterpretation. Whereas if you communicate explicitly in a very clear and concise way, then that removes a lot of those inefficiencies, misunderstandings, stuff like that. And if you want to improve your communication, then I highly recommend that you do things like public speaking. But if you don't want to do that, the other best thing you can do is simply do what I'm doing right now, is to record yourself or make videos, because videos give you that instant feedback in terms of how you actually come across to the world. And I'm nowhere near the best communicator, but my goal is to watch my own videos and then improve over time. So you're gonna see that even if you go back to my own channel and watch some of my previous videos, they're like really bad compared to now. So it's just a work in progress. Don't expect it to be perfect right away, but definitely become a better communicator. Skill number 7 is learn to stay focused. And this means more times than not, you're gonna have to say no instead of yes. And as entrepreneurs, we're very open-minded people, right? We're always thinking of new ideas. People are always bringing the new ideas to us. We're always learning new stuff. But more often than not, you'll actually benefit by saying no instead of yes, because there's so many opportunities you can take. But if you just keep saying yes to all of them, then you're not gonna follow through on any of them. It's like, if you try to chase 2 rabbits, then which rabbit are you gonna catch? None of them, right? So you gotta learn how to focus. And in this day and age, staying focused is harder than ever before, and this is because we're constantly being distracted by people because they have access to us all the time, whether it's through phone calls, through emails, through text messages. Also, we distract ourselves through stuff like social media. As entrepreneurs, because we want to constantly learn and grow, we also use learning as a way of distracting ourselves. Now, there's definitely a place for learning, but if you're only learning and not putting in the work, then that's just a distraction at that point, right? And this topic is so important that I'm gonna be making several videos on this topic to help you stay focused, not just in the day-to-day activities, but also in the long term. Now, I know that this was a lot of stuff, right? There's like so many skills, and each skill by itself can be so overwhelming. So I completely get where you're coming from. So here's what I recommend. Focus on one of these skills at a time. Just pick any of them. Maybe for you need to focus on time management. Or maybe for you need to improve your communication. Or maybe you're like me who has never sold anything in their life, so I have to focus on sales. So prioritize what is important for you right now. What is actually blocking your business? Right now, what is blocking my business is the lack of systems, because it's not allowing me to scale. And because of that, I'm not able to sell and get new customers. So, that's my blockage. So I'm working on different systems. And of course, I'll be sharing all of this with you. But identify the number one skill that you need to work on right now that will drive your business forward. And just like anything else, any skill that you want to develop, it's developed through repetition. Just like when we go to the gym and we work out, we're actually building muscle, but we're building muscle through repetition. And if you want to develop these entrepreneurial muscles, then it's the same thing. You got to put in the work over time, and don't expect to grow muscle, just go to the gym once and build all this muscle, right? It takes time and it takes a lot of hard work. So don't expect to be perfect about it, but just pick one skill and then take the next step forward that's going to make you better at that skill. And once you find that you've become pretty competent at that skill, then decide if you want to keep doing that skill or do you want to delegate that skill to someone else. But if you don't have that skill yourself, then it's going to be harder for you to delegate because you simply have no idea what you're doing. But even if you have a basic understanding of that skill, then it's going to help you in the long term. So let me know in the comment section down below, which of these 7 skills will you work on next? And don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more videos like these. I'll be going into a lot more detail into all of these individual topics. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.